Yeah, good evening. So last session we learned about object data type. So we discussed about how do we deal with object type, and one more option we learned about array of objects. How to handle object and array of objects, how do we manage the data? That option I told you. Now we will see how we can work with some real-time data, how we can deal with some real-time data. For that, we have to know about a concept here is APIs, API interactions. So we have to know about this concept. So actually, learning about APIs at JavaScript level is too complex, but still we will do it because you can easily understand and handle it. So first, in order to understand what is an API, right? Application interfaces, right? So we need to know few things like what is distributed computing. So we need to first understand these few points. What is distributed computing? Distributed computing means computing architectures, so many are there. Distributed computing is nothing but distributed computing allows two different right. So distributed computing allows two different machines, that means two different computers, so running two different applications, actually two different applications running on two different machines can share information between them. This is one point. Distributed computing means two different applications running on two different machines can share information between them. For example, suppose concept is nothing but actually suppose we have a client and server. Suppose we have this is some client and we have some server. Suppose you have Facebook on server, we have Facebook app. Now client side, how to watch this Facebook? You can watch on browser, or here you can have a Facebook app on your PC or your mobile. That means a Facebook app in server and a Facebook app in your device. Now the server app can share information with client app, and client app can share information with server app. For example, if I ask, tell me about some mobile apps that you have in your mobile. If you say Amazon, Flipkart, Swiggy, Zomato, and WhatsApp, they are not mobile apps. They are not mobile apps. We call them as distributed apps. Distributed apps. Mobile apps means mobile native, like camera, calculator, calendar, phone book. All these comes under mobile apps. Amazon, Flipkart, WhatsApp, these are not mobile apps. They are called distributed apps. So two applications are there. For example, if I want to watch Netflix, Then I can open Netflix in a browser and I can sign in and watch. Or I can open a Netflix app in my computer and from here I can watch. What is difference? In app, what is difference in watching in an app? Suppose you are watching YouTube on browser and you are watching YouTube on app. What is difference? Content is same, but app provides some more facilities. Like you can download videos, you can watch videos offline, which is not possible in browser. In browser, you can log in and watch. You cannot download videos. You cannot have any offline content. App can provide offline content. You can download videos. You can watch later. That means this is Netflix you are watching on mobile through an app that is not mobile app. We call them as distributed. Distributed applications means two applications running on two different machines can share information between them. One server machine, another one client. That is one. Another concept is distributed computing. Distributed computing allows two different applications running in two different process of same machine to share information. That means two applications running in two different computers can share information between them, and two applications running in same machine can share information between them. For example, suppose you have bank application and you have messages app. In your mobile, messages are maintained by a separate messages app. Now bank sends an OTP and it can read the OTP from SMS. There are two options. Either you can type or it can read. If you enable reading, then it will allow. That means SMS app doesn't belong to bank, but bank app is able to read the SMS from the app. That means two different applications running on same device can share information between them. This is also a concept of distributed computing. We call this as distributed computing. So in software technologies these days, distributed applications are more. All majority 90% apps that you use on your mobile, which needs internet connection for latest content and updates, those are all distributed apps. You should not call them as mobile apps. Mobile apps means they must able to run on your mobile without any special internet connection. For example, you downloaded a game, you can play that game without internet connection, then it is mobile. If it needs internet connection, then it is distributed. You downloaded some tutorial, some other contents on mobile, you can watch without internet connection, then they are mobile. Otherwise they are all distributed. So distributed technology is nothing but sharing information between two devices, two application in two different devices, or two applications in same device. Actually, various distributed computing technologies are there. That means in software development, we have a lot of distributed computing technologies used by different softwares. For example, the popular distributed computing technologies, we have Corba, we have DCOM, so we have RMI, we have EJB, So we have web services. So we have remoting. All these comes under distributed technologies. Java, .NET, PHP, Python, different technologies use different distributed technologies. These are popular. Corba is common request broken architecture. And DCOM is distribute component object model, remote method invocation, enterprise Java beans. So web services is one technology which is known to all softwares. That means everybody knows web services. Everybody knows web services. Only the point is this web service is known to every technology in the world. Everybody uses it. I will show you actually. So distributed computing technologies. I will show here some, it's not there. Web API. Yeah. Yes. These are all not required for you, only distributed. I will show you. Yeah. Yeah. This is actual the distributed computing architecture. So distributing computing is nothing but allows communication between two applications running on two different machines. Another one, communication between two objects running on different process of same machine. That is the concept. And these are all distributed computing technologies. We have Corba, DCOM, RMI, EJB, web services, remoting. This Corba is common object request broken architecture. It is used in almost 14 languages, including C++, Java like technologies. If they have to build distributed applications, they have to use this Corba. Right? So similarly, DCOM is very popular from Microsoft. RMI is for Java J2E, EJB also for Java, and web services known to every technology. PHP, Java, .NET, Python, everybody uses web services. It is common for all of them. So generally, distributed architecture is allowing communication between applications, sharing data between applications. Now the question here is how the sharing happens. Means web services is known to everybody. Now how the sharing happens? Actually, we have web service, service specifications. We have three web service specifications. One we have, we call it as SOAP. Another we have REST. Another we have JSON. How communication happens? Communication happens three ways. Means how they communicate with each other. Server application, client application, how they communicate with each other. So there are three specifications. We have SOAP, we have REST and JSON. SOAP is actually service oriented architecture protocol. So SOAP is nothing but, I will simple put here. Later I will upload that presentation for you, what is only needed for you. Actually that entire presentation is not required for your level as of now. So I will take only slides that is needed for you and I will share with you. So SOAP is actually, in SOAP, actually consumer will make XML request and provider will send XML response. That means the request and response will be in XML form. That means consumer means client. Client sends an XML request, server will send an XML response. In REST, what happens is consumer sends an simple on RESTful. In our course, we will see how we can use the RESTful services. Of course, we are starting that in JavaScript itself, we will see. Now, the point is more than RESTful, now it is JSON. So, JSON is communication from client JSON form, server response will be JSON. What is good about JSON is lightweight. JSON can flow through firewalls. That means what are the features of JSON is, that is what yesterday we learned, how to create a JSON object, right? With key and value. JSON advantage is it is lightweight. It is faster, and it is another advantage is it is not infected with virus. It's not infected with virus. It cannot be blocked by firewalls. Firewalls will block data. It cannot be blocked by firewalls. That means easy. It is easy to transport. Transporting will be easy, and it is compatible with every browser. Every browser can understand JSON. These are all the advantages of JSON. That is the reason these days everybody maintains data in JSON, response in JSON. You have seen NASA people also sent data in JSON. Yesterday I showed you that. Today we will see how we can consume that actually. So that is actual concept of API. Means this is application interface. APIs use this JSON response. That means API uses JSON. API uses both JSON as well as JSON and XML. In all technologies now we are looking forward towards APIs. So everything is through these APIs. So what API allows? It allows to handle communication between client and server. And how data is transported in an API? The primary format is JSON. Optionally, we can use XML, but the primary format is XML. Data transportation happen through JSON type. So we will see. That means now in real-time projects, already I told you yesterday, what happens, for example, you saw here, we have NASA people. Now, what they do is, suppose we see some NASA people have some database. They keep all the data in data servers actually. They may use different database. Suppose they are using MongoDB, MySQL, Oracle, different types of database, SQL Server, so many databases are there. They can use any database. Now what we have to do is, this data need to be provided. This data need to be provided to the client. Actually, data will not directly come to client. Data we need to provide to client, and the data will not directly come to client. In between, we will have a server-side application. That means here we have to create, this is server-side. We actually create an API. This is created in any server-side technology, as I told you. Like they use Corba, RMI, DCOM, all these. But with the help of languages like JSP, PHP, like Node.js, Node, like ASP.NET, all these comes under this. By using these, what they do is they design an API. What this API will do? API is responsible for communicating with the database, gets the data. And API is nothing but actually API provides simple requests actually. Like you have products, you have like some products /1. So we have like categories, like we have cart, we have like users, like this, they provide requests. That means these API provides the request methods. These are various requests. That means it can be get request, it can be post, put, delete, different types of requests will be there. Now what we have to do is all the requests are provided by this API. On client, what we have to do is we have to develop an app, and this app will simply use these methods to communicate with the API. By using these methods, it will communicate with the API, which gets the data to you. And actually all these methods, they will take data in JSON form, they will send data in JSON. That means post method needs to send post method have to send data. It will send in which form? JSON. And get method have to get data. It will get in the form of JSON. That means all these API methods will be in JSON. We have to access and return. That is the reason people, when they come to learn some technologies advanced, because they don't have all this idea, architecturally they don't know much, they generally ask like, sir, how to connect with .NET, how to connect with Java, how to connect with PHP? Nothing. That means there is no special mechanism of connecting with the .NET Java. See, for a front-end developer, you are UI developer. As of now, you are UI developer. Later, you can learn how to create APIs also. But as a UI developer, you are using JavaScript. Here you are using JavaScript. You don't need to ask a question, how JavaScript connects with .NET, PHP, Python. That's not a question at all. Why? Because as a front-end developer, I don't care about what technology these are using. I just care about only these requests I need. That means a front-end developer just needs the requests. Which request? What data it is returning. I just need these URLs. I don't even need to know which database they are using. I don't even need to know which server-side technology they are using. As a front-end developer, I need only URLs. That means I need the request name and I need the URL for that request. For get, what URL? For post, what URL? Only these we need. So without knowing all this, many times people ask like, sir, I am learning .NET, how to use JavaScript with .NET? How to use JavaScript with PHP, Java? So you don't use with Java or PHP, you will use front end only. And how Java complements with your front end? Java will create APIs and they will send you URLs. What you do in JavaScript, just consume them and you have to present. That means you have to create an interface by handling these requests. So technically, how we have to communicate? That means here the question is how JavaScript can handle API requests. How JavaScript can handle API requests, right? How it can handle API requests? It's very simple. So actually, answer for this is JavaScript uses XML HTTP request object. This is very important. You remember forever. Any technology in the world which is using communication with APIs or any JSON type data, people call as AJAX. They call the mechanism as AJAX. AJAX you will learn detailedly later. Every technology, so in the front end, so finally have to use this object to communicate with HTTP requests. That means Angular, React, Vue, Knockout, Backbone, any type of front-end technology may be using different methods, but finally they have to use XML HTTP request object. This object provides all the methods for communicating with server side APIs. But we don't directly use this. We can use it. We don't directly use it. Actually, what happens? jQuery uses Ajax methods, $.Ajax. So Angular uses like some HTTP client. React uses like some third parties like Axios and different technologies. So here JavaScript uses a promise called fetch, and these all finally have to use XML HTTP request only. That means internally these all are internally managed by XML HTTP request. Everyone is managed by XML HTTP request. But directly using it is a lengthy process. That is the reason every technology have its own shortcuts with some additional features. Its own shortcuts are there, not only shortcuts, additional features also. But finally, everybody have to use this object, XML HTTP request object. So by using that, we can handle. Currently, we are using JavaScript. So here the point is JavaScript uses a promise. JavaScript uses a promise called fetch. It uses a promise called fetch to communicate with APIs. With API, it uses a promise called fetch. Generally, what is the concept of promise? Means technical definition later, because later we will learn promise creating. Our own promises we will create. But general definition I will tell you here. Actually, nothing but promise is a function. Technically, promise is a function that handles specified functionalities with set of callbacks. Technical definition later we will learn. A general point I am telling. That means, because at the beginning itself, if I give technical definition, you can't understand that. So promise is a function that handles functionality with set of callbacks. Callback is nothing but, what is meant by callback? Callback is nothing but, actually callback is a simple technique. Generally, callback handles so various functionalities depending on state and situation. That means generally, when we manually write a function, that function will always perform the same work, same task. But I want some set of functions and I want them to handle depending on situation. That means I given a set of functions. That means I given 10 tasks. All 10 tasks are not performed. It will decide the situation and the state. According to situation and state, it will change the functions. That means doing the same work, function. Okay. Doing the same work every time. Doing the same work every time is general function behavior. What is callback behavior is having a set of functions and deciding which function is suitable for the situation. That means it will not execute every function. It will execute only the function that is needed for situation. Having a set of functionality with it and deciding which one suits according to situation is a promise. Right? Promise is a concept where it will have lot of callback functions. It will decide which one is suitable according to the situation. And JavaScript promise, one of the major promise about JavaScript, one of the major, so many, you can create your own promise that you will learn while learning functions, right? Here, fetch is a promise actually. Fetch is a JavaScript promise. It is a JavaScript promise. So promise, so which handle communication with API and returns data if successful and returns error status if failed. That means it decides according to the situation. That means actually you have fetch method syntactically like this. Syntactically, you can use fetch. Fetch uses an URL. URL decides from where to fetch the data. That means the API request URL. And it uses a callback function then. I'm just writing next line to make it clear. Actually, it uses then. This is a function, and this is a function. You can pipe the function so many times like this. We can have a function like throw, that is the function. That means the point is very simple. These functions will execute on success. These then functions will execute on success. This function will execute on failure. That means we are mentioning a set of functions. This is a promise, and the promise contains 3 functions. Which one to execute according to situation, it will decide. What is the situation? If URL is correct, then it will execute these 2 functions. If URL is wrong, then it will execute this. That means, will all these 3 work? No. That depends on situation. That means promise will decide the situation. According to the situation, it will handle. Right? These are very important at interview level, right? Because many times, so people forget this concept point. Okay, remember for this forever, because almost in every JavaScript advanced level interviews, they will ask about promises. That means you have to know what is a promise, how to create such promises by yourself, right? And have you worked with any predefined promises in JavaScript? So you have to tell them. We are working with a promise called fetch, and this is responsible for communicating with APIs. We will see how we can manage and how we can handle, right? Let's see one simple example, how it works, how this fetch is going to work. Let's see our yesterday's example. In yesterday's example, our data was present directly in the page. We see we used this. This is the data, and we have this data in directly page. But see what I am doing here. I will remove this now. I will remove that here. Okay, let me copy this separately so that I can use later. And here there is no data now. That means there is no data. It cannot show anything in the table. There is nothing to load. There is no data here. I click on load, nothing is loading because data is not there. And you see in the console, it is already showing that, right? It is not found. Huh? That is not that. Yeah. I click on load. It will say that products is not defined. There is no products. That means this products data is not available. Now what I will do is I will go here and in our project, I will create a separate folder by name data. I will create a separate folder by name data. In this folder, I will add a new file, and that is products.json. You can give any name. but extension will be JSON, JavaScript object notation. Now in this JSON, you put your data. JSON is very strictly typed. So you have to use an array. Array of what objects? Already we have the data I am pasting. Here I am pasting like this. I just need only array. And as per the rules of JSON, every object contains the key names as string type, right? Here I am not writing as string type. It is not allowing. You have to put a quote, right? Every property must be defined as a string type. Let me create a clean structure for your sake. Okay. See, I will create here simple array of object. Every object have a name, and name is suppose we have Nike casuals. Okay. And the second we have price. Price is some price. It is number type. And we have another photo. Photo is some dot dot slash public slash assets slash some shoe dot jpg. This is one object. Similarly, I am adding another here, another object. So here I defined some winter jacket and some price I configured. And here I said some jacket. Okay, dot jpg. Okay, one more option I defined here. Okay. And here I am defining some Lee boot. Some price I specified here. And shoe1.jpg. Now I need to get the data from this file. Later we will have databases and all, right? But I need to get data from this file and use it here in my project. That means here data is not here. Data is coming from some other source. So what we have to do? So we have to create a simple method. Remember here on load click, we have to handle all the data, right? So that means here we will create a simple fetch method here. On load click, we have to fetch. Fetch what? So it is asking the URL, and you see it says that it is a promise. That means the type, the fetch type is promise type. It is a promise type. So what the fetch is expecting? URL. URL is dot dot slash data slash what is the file? Products dot JSON. We are fetching data from this JSON. Okay. Dot then. That means what then will do? Then is responsible for handling. Remember, don't end here. It is not finished. Then is a continuous function. Then is a continuous function. And then indicates a callback function. So we write a function here. We write a function here. What this callback function will do? Will get the response from this file. That means we have to collect that response. You can use response object. Remember, this is any name. You can give any name. Usually we use response because it is the data coming as a response. But what is problem with this then is it will fetch the data from this JSON file. But problem with fetch is by default, when it fetches the data, it is in binary form. That means whatever response comes, it will be in a binary form. So it is not suitable for presentation. So what the first then function will do is collect the response data and return it in a JSON form. That means it have to return response in the form of JSON. JSON is a method which converts the binary data into JSON. So that is why other technologies use some more better methods. Better methods like jQuery, Angular, React. What those technologies can do is they can directly fetch the data and return in JSON. You don't need extra conversions, but in fetch there is no chance. So you have to convert into JSON because always it will return in a binary. So we are fetching and we are returning in JSON form. Okay. Whatever JSON is returned, we have to collect it again. Then we need another then function. This then is a callback function. This will receive the final data. That means whatever data returned in JSON form, that data is collected. Now this data need to be presented. This data need to be presented. You can do this work here now. That means this entire data is nothing but it is an array. What I am doing here, I am declaring a global variable called var products. Products is an empty array. Now what I am doing here, so whatever products, into that we will pass the data. Understood? Whatever data we collected, we are passing into that this. That means now the data is stored. Whatever data you collected, the data is stored in products, and that products you are using here. That means we are fetching the data and handling the data. Here, when I click on load data, so that means it will get the data and display. Same yesterday's example only. But this time we are fetching from a data JSON file. Right now, this can come remotely from another location. For example, suppose you are booking a ticket online. When you are booking a ticket online, after booking the ticket online, ticket is loaded onto screen, right? There is a button called print. That print button will print the ticket. Before I click the print button, I lost connection with internet. I lost connection with internet. Ticket is visible on screen. Now, if I click print button, can I still print the ticket? Data is already opened on your screen. And where is printer? Printer is at server location or client location? It is at client location. Then why you need a connection with server? Already data is opened, na? But that data need to be kept offline so that you can print that data. How they keep the data offline? In a JSON form or in a XML form. That means offline data is kept with you for some time. What is advantage of that? Again, you want the data. You don't need to request from server. You need to just use that offline data. Such data is provided offline to you so that you can access and use from offline. It is stored in a JSON or in an XML format. But you will not get latest updates. You will not get latest updates. Latest updates you will get when you are again connecting with the live database. Because in database some changes may happen, but you may be seeing only old records because you are not connected. When you connect, you can watch the new. That is how offline data is available. Suppose on YouTube, you can see offline some data is available to you. That all data is kept in your local device. So, and it is in the form of XML or JSON. But we want from live APIs. We can fetch from live APIs. We will see. But this is one example how we can fetch. So what we have to do here, actually this is using, then it is using catch, it is also using throw. So many functions will be there for that. Later you are going to learn what is catch, throw. These are related to exception handling. Initially, so how it happens? Example, first step, we have to create a new folder in project. that is data. After that, add a new file that is products.json. And in that file, we need to maintain data in this way. It's very important. It should be in this way only. Case sensitive also, right? It is very important when you write like this. Okay. Next, important after this, now we need to access and use in HTML page. Some home.html. In this is the logic we have to do. I will copy this entire code for you. Yeah. In this, what we are doing, we are using a fetch method. Fetch is a promise. By using that, we are fetching the data from this JSON. It returns data in a binary form. We have to convert into JSON. Any data, even it is JSON type data, binary form only it will come. You have to convert into JSON and return this JSON. Next, then method will collect this data and convert that into JSON and store in products, which we are performing iteration and presenting. That is the basic approach, how it can handle. Now we will see one simple example. Now suppose we will see now how we can present the data coming from. I will create another new file. Suppose NASA API. We will see how we can do that. So how we can access data from NASA API and present it. API. I will just link a bootstrap here. Style sheet and href, node modules, bootstrap, dist css bootstrap.css. Okay, and here I am just creating a table class container fluid. Yeah. And here we will put some Mars rover photos. Mars rover photos, and here we will create a table. And class table and table hover. First, I need to understand what data is present there, how data is coming, right? Let's visit this website. So NASA api.nasa.gov. This is the official website of NASA APIs. In these NASA APIs, you click on browse APIs. You will get these APIs. And here I will select Mars rover photos. And you can see they given an URL here. You click on it, then it is returning all this data. This is all the data returned. And as I told you yesterday, that it is first important for a developer to understand the data. If you fail to understand the data, you can never present the data. Right? First, you need to understand what it is returning. In our previous example, it is returning this is an array. But in NASA API, it is not returning an array. It is returning this symbol. That means object. And that object have a property called photos. Photos is an array. Right? We have to perform iteration not directly on the data, on the photos. And every photo have ID and several other details. So I will try to present these details. I will create here T head, TR and TH. Here I will say photo ID. Okay, another one is I will say preview. Preview is the photo, right? And another one is rover camera name. And another is rover name. So, but they are not present in order actually. You see, this object contains a camera object. Camera object again contains full name property that returns the camera full name. and it is again having image src, which contains the picture. And you see it is having another object called rover. Rover object again contains a property called name, that is returning the rover name. So we have to present this now. Let's see when to do that, your wish. I will simply write on load, means on body load. On body load, I want to load the data into table. Okay. That means in the table, we will have a T body there we want to display. So here we have to write the script. So what is it? We need to write a function body load. On body load, we will fetch. Fetch from where? This is the API URL. Copy it and paste. That is the API URL. Every API have such URLs. This is the API URL and it is a RESTful. So why? Because the request is in a simple query form. It is in a simple query form. Okay. After that, we have to use dot then. What then will do? It will use a callback function. This callback function will collect the response and it should return the response into which form? JSON. After that, another callback function. This callback function will collect the data. And this data need to be presented in a table. Directly you can write here, but data is an object. We can't do any iteration on object. So what we will do, for var item of data dot photos. Am I right? Because data is object now. Data is that object. Am I right? That object contains a property called photos. That photos is an array. That means I am accessing, this is object, data is object, in that there is a photos. This photos is array type. That is the reason I am using iteration on that array. Right? I cannot use directly on this data because this is object. In that object we have a photos. These capitalizations, everything matters. How it is in API, in the same way you have to use. Right? How it is in the API, the same way you have to use. Okay. Now, according to this now, photos. Now, what are the details? How many cells we need? We will first create a row, tr. Document dot create element. What is it? Tr. How many cells we need? 4. So, var td id. Document dot create element, that is td. Second, var td photo. Okay. Td preview, I will give as preview. Document dot create element, this is also td. One more. So var td camera. So document dot create element, this is also td. Another var td. Yeah. So we have var td, another one. What is it? So rover, right? Document dot create element, that is td. Okay. Now what to display in the first cell? td id dot inner html. It should contain item dot id, right? id actually returns the photo id. Photo id. Okay. So next, td preview dot inner html. We will put an image. Directly we said now we can create an image. Image source is equal to, here we will access item dot what? img underscore src. That is image source. Width is 100 and height also 100. Okay. That is the image to display in the second cell. What is about third cell? td camera is equal to dot inner html is equal to item dot. In that there is an object called camera. In that there is an option called full underscore name. You have to carefully see the data. It is having that full underscore name, right? And we have another one, td rover dot inner html. What it is? Item dot, so rover dot name. It is having rover name. Now all these cells must be added to row. That means tr dot append child. Which one? td id. tr dot append child. td preview. tr dot append child. What is it? td camera. And tr dot, so here we have rover, sorry, tr dot append child, that is td rover. td rover, td rover. All these are added into row. This row must be added into t body. Document dot query selector t body dot append child. Append child. Which one? So we have tr. That's how we are loading. That means when I run this here, it have to get all the data from the API and return all the data here. This is all the data coming live from their website. That means how many records are there? It is going to display all the records here. So sometimes it will take a time if your internet connection is slow. Sometimes NASA APIs, you see, when you are using live APIs, sometimes they block the requests. Sometimes they will be stopping their server. You have to check your console. In the console, you can see the problems. In the problems, it will tell you that connection refused or API not responding. That is not your problem. That is not your code problem. That is the problem in API. If API server is not responding, we have to wait, right? So you need to check that. If property name wrong, any spelling wrong, then you have to correct it, right? Otherwise, if you separately open the API and check, if that API data is coming and it is not displaying in your page, then your page have problem, right? So this is a simple point how we can access the data from API and present. But we need to learn how to handle complex presentations, manipulation. Suppose I want to display not in a table like cards. I want to filter. I want to search. I want to display only photos taken by curiosity. I want to filter only photos taken by certain camera. I want to see only photos taken on particular date. You actually have date also there. Then we need to design that interface on the data. Data is same, but you have to design a lot of interactions. Such we will see how to handle. In the next session we will do. Right? So tomorrow we will see some more APIs and how do we work with them. Right?